שמש דקה ומרפא בכנפיה.
What we in general call the Old Testament, I like to call with the Jewish people with a Hebrew acronym, Tanakh. It stands for the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, the Nevi'im, the prophets, and the third part is the Ketuvim, the writings. If you look for the book of Ruth, for the book scroll of Ruth within the Tanakh, you see that it kind of looked for its place and didn't really find it up until, I should say, recently. In our Christian Bibles, it's mostly right after the book of Judges and before the books of Samuel. You have some Jewish editions of the Tanakh, and there you find the book scroll of Ruth right after the Proverbs, because that's a guess, because the Proverbs close with the praise of the good housewife, the Eshet Chayil, and Ruth is called Eshet Chayil by Boaz, and maybe therefore it found its place for some time there right after the book of Proverbs. Today in Hebrew editions, we see that the third part of the Tanakh, the Ketuvim, the writings, are ordered according to a liturgical order, and there we find first the Psalms, and then the Proverbs, and then the book of Job, and then the 5 Megillot, the 5 book scrolls that are read at 5 feasts, the 5 major feasts in Israel. The first one is the Song of Songs, which is read or connected with Passover, with Pesach. And the second is the Ruth, the scroll of Ruth, which is read at the Shavuot feast, the Feast of the Weeks, Pentecost. And then we have the third Lamentations for the 9th of Av, for the fasting and mourning over the destruction of Jerusalem and the destruction of the temple especially. In the fourth place, we have the Kohelet, the preacher, that is read during the Sukkot feast, the Feast of Tabernacles. And then the last one is the Book of Esther, or the Esther scroll, read at the Feast of Purim. So, 50 days after the Feast of Passover, the Jewish people, according to the Bible, celebrates Shavuot, the Feast of Weeks, Pentecost. It is the completion of the grain harvest between the Passover feast up to the Shavuot feast, and you can see that here in the land. The people living in this land are harvesting grain. And then with Shavuot we have the Feast of the First Fruits. It's actually also the gift of the Torah at Mount Sinai. The rabbis calculated that it must have been exactly the time when the people of Israel, after the Exodus, arrived at Mount Sinai and they received the Torah. So they celebrate at Shavuot also the gift of Torah to the Jewish people, and some pious Jews, some Orthodox Jews, but also some Messianic Jews celebrate Shavuot by studying the Torah, studying the Word of God throughout the night of this feast. Shavuot is next to Pesach, next to Passover, and Sukkot, the Feast of Tabernacles, one of the three great pilgrimage feasts of Israel, on which every Israelite man had or has, depending on how you see it, to appear before the Lord in Jerusalem 3 times a year. So this feast is about remembering and looking back to the Exodus from Egypt, to the freedom, to the delivery from the land of slavery, from the land of death, of the graves, of the tombs. It looks forward to the place that the God of Israel chooses to have His name dwell there, Zion, Jerusalem. It's a feast that looks towards Jerusalem. And interestingly, it is a feast that already Moses touched that issue. If you go up 3 times a year, if you go up on Shavuot, the Lord will care for security in the land. So it's about the security in the land. It's a very up-to-date topic. And then it's about the Lord blessing His people of Israel. And that's why the whole extended family, the whole clan has to rejoice, has to be joyful. And this is not just a recommendation, it's not just a feeling, but it's a command. Actually, to be joyful is a command in the Bible that goes up into the New Testament. If we think about Paul asking the Philippians, rejoice in the Lord, always. So if we are not rejoicing, we are not obeying the Lord's commandment. And then, last but not least, the Feast of Tabernacles, the Feast of Shavuot, the Feast of Weeks, is about bringing a gift to the Lord. Moses already said, don't come empty-handed, but bring a gift according to the blessing that the Lord blesses you. And I would like to continue there, thinking of myself, bring a gift according to the blessing, so the Lord doesn't bless you according to your gift.